What's up guys, welcome back to another BGS returns video. So I'm going to be going through a 20-day submission that I got back in this video, and before I start I've got to say this set of returns was easily the best I've ever had from Beckett. So most of what I sent in this return was LOB, and I'll run through that first, starting with the glossy, and then I'll move on to the wavy as well. So I got 3 9s on Glossy Supers. I sent pretty much the entire set of supers in glossy print. The only card I didn't send was Flame Swordsman, and then I already have a Gem Mint Mystical Elf, so I didn't send one of those either. Now these 3, I didn't necessarily expect any of these to get 9/5, so I was okay with the 9s on them. The Curse of Dragon and the Raigeki are just pretty off-center top to bottom, especially the Raigeki. I almost thought this could have been an 8 on centering, to be honest, so I was pretty happy I got the 8/5 for the overall 9. And the Geki, which is not too far from a 9 on centering, but I do agree with it being 8.5. And the other subgrades are very nice on both of these. And finally, the Maneater Bug was maybe a tiny bit disappointing, but I did expect that it might grade badly because it has a pretty noticeable foil line over here, which has some unusual little ink blemishes going around it. And it also has a few light factory lines on the back. So the combination of those two things gave it an 8.5 on surface, but I did get 10s on edges and corners, so it's still a pretty strong 9 overall. And the other glossy supers I sent actually all got Gem Mint grades. So I got a couple that got 9s on centering, which were both fair enough. These cards are both pretty shifted top to bottom, but they also got 10s on edges and corners, which is a nice way to balance that out. Then the Trap Hole and the Celtic Guardian that I sent both got quad 9/5s, which are very nice grades. These are all really clean cards that I sent. They're the best copies of each that I've ever had. But I did send most of these cards in a previous submission and none of them got Gem Mint grades. So I wasn't necessarily expecting a result this good after that. But I'm very glad to see that they got the grades they deserved in the end. And the final one, this is probably the cleanest LOB holo that I own in general. It's a glossy dark hole. I got a quad plus 9.5. I did think this actually had a small shot for Pristine, but it would probably need the 10 on centering, and the centering is a little bit shifted top to bottom on the front. And I think, yeah, ever so slightly on the back as well. So I do understand it only getting a 9.5, and I'm still very happy with that grade. And then moving on to the ultras, this is where the return really started to blow my mind a little bit. So the Guy of the First Night I sent, this wasn't a very strong card, and it just got a 9, which is pretty much what I expected. The 8/5 centering, 9 corners. And I will need to upgrade this to a Gem Mint copy at some point, but I thought I'd grade this card anyway just to have it as a filler in my set. But the other ultras I sent all got Gem Mint grades. So I got a pair of Monster Reborns. One of them is a basic 9/5. The other one has that 9 on centering, but then 10s on edges and corners. Both of these are nice cards that I've had for a long time. I definitely expected this one to get a 9/5 on the right. The one on the left I thought might end up with a 9 on edges because the back has just a little bit of whitening. But in the end, the grader let them both through, which is really awesome. And then I also got a pair of Gem Mint Exodia heads. This time, one of them is a quad 9/5, and the other one is a basic, but with a 10 on corners. And this one, which is actually already sold at the time of filming this video, also has that foil line error, which normally gets you a pretty heavy deduction on the surface grade from Beckett. But I think because Exodia is such a monster-dominated artwork with not a lot of holo actually showing, the grader probably didn't pick up on the fact that there was a line, so it was able to get the 9.5 surface. And the last 2 pieces I graded were a right leg and a left arm. Both of them got quad plus 9/5s with 10s on corners. These are both really, really clean cards, and they have great centering as far as glossy Exodia pieces go. So I was very happy to add both of those to my set. And now I just need the right arm and the left leg. So that's everything for the glossy LOB. Now I didn't send as much wavy LOB, but in the end the results actually ended up being even better than for the glossy, which was incredible to me, seeing how hard wavy first edition LOB is to grade. So I got 2 9s to begin. One of them is a faded wavy right arm, which I actually thought this one had an outside shot at a 9.5, but it would have needed the 9/5 surface, which is obviously not easy to get on faded cards. And I'm still very happy with it as a quad plus 9. And the other one is my Mystical Elf, which got great subgrades for the most part, but did get hit with that 8.5 centering. Obviously, it's just shifted top to bottom again. I don't necessarily disagree with the centering grade on this, but I might try sending it in for review anyway, because it is a really beautiful card, and the eye appeal is still great despite the slight centering shift. And aside from those two, every single wavy hollow I sent actually got a gem mint grade. So I sent in again most of the supers from the set in wavy print, and the cards I sent were, as I've said, very clean, but you never expect to get this many gem mint grades, especially sending LOB hollows when we're almost 20 years after the release of LOB now. So my Dark Hole, which I actually bought pretty recently, got a basic 9.5. That was actually the weakest grade out of the rest of the cards I'm going to show. So my Poly, which is one of the hardest wavy prints to grade, got a 9 on surface but a 10 on edges for the overall 9.5. My Celtic Guardian, which has that nice printing error label to designate that it's faded, got a 9 on centering but a 10 on edges. My Wavy Flame Swordsman got 10s on centering and edges but a 9 on surface. Funnily enough, I actually graded a quad 9.5 Wavy Swordsman in this same sub that I've already sold. And the weird thing was this one had a better surface than the other one, so I don't know if they somehow mixed up the surface grades, but even with a 9 on surface, I'm still very happy with this one. And then everything from here onwards is quad 9.5 or better. So I graded a quad plus 9.5, faded Curse of Dragon. Most of the faded wavy stuff you see in this sub I've had for a long time. I'm very happy to finally have it all graded gem mint. I graded two different trap holes. The first one is a quad plus 9.5 with a 10 on centering. And the second one is my extremely faded trap hole, which again got that printing error label. Now the funny story with this one is I sent it in last year and it actually got a 4 on surface for an overall grade of 5. Excellent. So obviously I wasn't happy with that because the card is packed fresh. So I cracked it and kept it raw for a few months. But then when they started doing the printing error labels earlier this year, I thought I might as well try sending it again. And yeah, this time the surface went up from a 4 to a 9.5, which is absolutely incredible. And that's definitely one of my favorite LOB cards I own. So the next card is a big one, which at the time of grading did not actually belong to me. It was in this sub, but it belonged to a friend of mine. But I needed this for my set, and he agreed to sell it to me. It's a quad 9.5 left arm. One of the harder Exodia pieces to grade. It's very difficult to find these without big print dots on the hollow and other issues like centering. So this is a really, really solid card to add to my set, which I'm very happy with. And the last couple of wavy LOB hollows, both graded 0.5 from Pristine. So I got a quad plus wavy Maneater Bug, which again is a really hard card to grade. I did think this would get a 9.5. I didn't necessarily expect it to get as high a 9.5 as this, but it's not undeserved by any means, and it's definitely a really nice card. And the final one is my wavy faded Raigeki, which again got that printing error designation. This is one of the most beautiful LOB cards I've owned, so I'm really happy to have it slapped up with a grade as high as this. The surface quality, I have to say, is actually pretty close to where it could get a Pristine. I don't think there's any scratching or anything like that on it. But at the same time, the centering probably could have been a 9 from a harsher grader as well. So I don't think I'll bother sending this in for review to try and get a Pristine, because I'm still already very happy with it as it is. Okay, now moving on to the rest of the sub. It's a little more kind of random. I didn't know exactly how to order it. But I'll start with these, which are a couple of European first edition LOB Exodia pieces. The head and the left arm. Both of these actually got quad plus 9.5s, which I was very happy with. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to complete the whole set of Exodia 9.5 European print because these cards are very tough to find in good shape. But these ones are almost flawless, so I thought I might as well grade them anyway. I actually pulled this left arm myself from the same box that I pulled my Blue Eyes from many, many years ago. This Exodia head is a card I picked up recently off someone on Instagram. And I subbed one more European card, which was a Metal Raider Summoned Skull. And again, it got a quad plus 9.5. this time with the 10s on centering and corners. This is a card I really like because for the most part the darker colors of the Euro print don't necessarily look nicer than the North American ones, but for vanilla monsters in the early era, I really like them. So Summon Skull, in my opinion, looks a lot nicer in Europrint than it does in North American because of those darker colors. I'm really happy to have this one slapped up with a grade that high. Then onto a couple of, I guess, promo cards. One is a first edition starter deck Yugi Dark Magician. This is a card that I just picked up recently because it ended up going pretty cheaply on auction. And it ended up being in pretty decent shape, so I decided to grade it. Very happy with a 9. This will probably be for sale if anyone's interested. And the other promo I graded was a Blizzard Dragon English from the GX Card Almanac game. This is actually the first card from the set ever graded at Beckett, and I think there's one Blizzard Dragon graded by PSA as a 10 and another one as a 9. But this card in general is incredibly difficult to find, so because mine was in good shape, I thought I'd send it off, and getting a Quad Plus Plus 9.5 is definitely very satisfying. Alright, then I had 3 more old school set cards, 2 of which are actually pop 1s with the grades they got. So first up is a Barrel Dragon, which is obviously not population 1, but I was happy this got a gem. I sent it in before and it got a 9. I don't remember the exact subgrades, but having it back as a gem is definitely a great addition to my MRD collection. And the other 2 are both population 1s, Dark Necrofear and Tyrant Dragon. Now, the Dark Necrofear I definitely thought would get a 9.5. Very happy that it managed to get a Quad Plus, which is a great set of subgrades. The Tyrant Dragon, I honestly didn't expect a 9.5 from, just because the centering, yeah, it's not the worst as far as Tyrant Dragons go, but it's hard to call it good centering, and I did expect an 8.5. But the rest of the card is absolutely flawless, so I'm definitely very satisfied that it did get a gem. And it's one that I won't be selling because I pulled it myself, but it's still nice to see it in that gold label case. Alright, next up is a big one. I graded 1 Ghost Rare in this sub, which was an Honest, and it did actually get a gem mint grade, which I didn't necessarily expect it for this card. I thought it was probably just a strong 9, but obviously I'm extremely happy to get it back as a gem. I'd say this is one of the hardest ghosts to grade because Light of Destruction in general, I mean the sealed product is non-existent, but even the singles are really hard to find in good shape. So this is one that's definitely staying in the collection, and I'm very, very happy to have it. And I thought the best way to finish would be with the tournament pack stuff. So I sent a few different cards from tournament pack. First off, I sent a couple of ultras from the later sets. Both of these cards I actually pulled myself. This one I pulled a long time ago out of a whole 100 pack box I opened. This one I actually pulled last year out of, I believe it was 5 loose packs I bought from Troll and Toad. They had them for, I think it was $5 per pack, so I thought I'd just buy them and see what happened. And pretty incredibly, I actually got the Ultra, but unfortunately it had, I'll probably show it through the case. I think you can see it there. It's not exactly a dent, but it has a little bit of a surface depression in the back, just right out of the factory. It wasn't the back card in the pack, so it definitely happened when it was being put into the pack or before that. But even as a 9, it's still a great card to own. I actually have, I think, 6 of the 8 tournament pack ultras in 9 or better now. So I might try and complete that set if I can find the others too. And the last 3 cards of the return were all supers from tournament pack 1. So first up was a Patrol Robo, which I probably wouldn't have bothered grading this card otherwise, but I already had the Axe Raider, and I was sending all 3 of the other supers in this sub just to complete the set. And it got a Quad Plus 9.5, which is a really good grade. I looked at the pop report of this card, and it's kind of funny. There are 3 BGS 10s, but this is now the only 9.5, so go figure. Alright, then the next one is a White Hole, which I have to say was a little bit disappointing because you can see the grades it got, 10, 10, 10, 9. And the surface of this card is actually really clean. It has 1 factory line on the back. But when I saw the grades it got, I thought I might actually be able to bump it to a Pristine because the surface could definitely get a 9.5. But unfortunately, if I just show you this, the back top edge actually got nicked by Beckett. So that edgeware on the top was not there when I sent it off. And obviously it wasn't there when it got graded either because they gave it a 10 on edges. But I assume somehow when it was getting encapsulated, it got nicked up there, which is very disappointing. But it is what it is. Still a gem mint card, and I'm still happy to have that set all put together. And the final card was extremely exciting to me. You've probably already guessed what it was, but the most exciting thing was not the card, but rather the grade, because my Quaggar Hercules from TP1 actually got a Pristine 10. So this is the first time I've ever graded a Pristine 10 in any of my subs. I think I've sent at least 150, 200 cards at this point. This card was definitely really clean. It definitely had a chance for a Pristine. I wasn't really expecting it because I'd never got one before, but I'm very, very happy to have it back with that label on it. The surface has a couple of tiny little, I think tiny little factory issues on the back. So I probably won't try and bump it to a black label, but even as a gold label, it's a really, really epic card to have. Alright, and that brings us to the end of this BGS return. So thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. It was definitely my favorite set of BGS returns that I've ever done. And if you have any questions, just put them down in the comments below. Similarly, if you have any suggestions for future content you'd like to see, put it in the comments. I'm always happy to think about it. And yeah, for now, this is Schloss signing out, and I will see you guys in the next video.